excuse me here. It says his first. Hold on, man. See, I'm getting all foobarred here up now here. Anyway, it says, and asserting that freedom from terrorism will come only through preemptive action against enemies of democracy. In his first major foreign policy speech since his re-election, the president set out an expansive second-term agenda with three distinctive goals. 1, reforming multilateral institutions. 2, prosecuting the war on terrorism. And 3, spreading democracy in the Middle East. So you can see of this second beast right here, this major power, this major military machine has an agenda to go out and to break in pieces and crush and enforce of what they think and deem would bring peace to mankind, which Revelation says that this is the power of this beastly system, and this is what this beastly system will do. And at the same time now that Yahweh is guiding you through the prophecies and through our teacher Israel Hawkins, who's the only one that I really feel that understands and knows according to what Yahweh says the prophecies. Please, you can let the prophecies be taught by the teacher who Yahweh inspired to teach it. Don't try to think what you may believe is to be right concerning the prophecies, because I guarantee you, you'll get confused and you'll go astray, and the next thing you know, you'll be standing out the front gate here throwing dust on yourselves. Okay, so don't think that you're ever too great to understand everything, because you're not. We have one teacher set aside by Yahweh to do the teaching, and that has been given the spirit of understanding of prophecy. Praise Yahweh for that. But you can see what's going on with the spreading of the democracy. This is within the agenda of the United States right now. Well, and some interesting developments took place again this week. It says, well, this is a little while back. This is from December 20th now. But Bush threatens Syria with new pressure over Iraq. Now, if this doesn't prove a little bit of exercising authority and making demands, and if you can't understand what I'm saying here, then there's something wrong. You need to pray to Yahweh for something, because Bush, okay, listen to what Bush says here. Remember what we said about democracy, and remember what these other nations are doing right now. It says, U.S. President George W. Bush threatened on Monday to use new economic and diplomatic measures to pressure Syria over its suspected interference in Iraq before the January elections. We have sent messengers to the Syrians in the past, and we will continue to do so. We have the tools at our disposal, with variety of tools ranging from diplomatic tools to economic pressure. Nothing taken off the table, Bush told a news conference. Administration officials said military options have not been ruled out. All options are obviously on the table, and we don't want to make it a military problem, says Deputy Secretary of State Richard Armitage told NBC News. Now, this is Bush saying this. When I said the other day that I expect these countries to honor the political process in Iraq without meddling, I meant it, and hopefully those governments heard what I said, Bush said. Now, let me repeat that. He says, when I said the other day that I expect these countries to honor the political process in Iraq without meddling, I meant it. And hopefully those governments heard what I said, Bush said. Bush said he has discussed with the American generals. He discussed this with the generals of America, and he is giving an issue a warning. Well, now there's a supposed missile sale going on to Syria right now. It says U.S. warns Russia on selling missiles to Syria. Now, this is just the other day here. This came out on the news. It says the United States warned Russia against selling missiles to Syria amid reports that Moscow was ready to provide Damascus with the sophisticated weapons that could hit any target in Israel. But Russia denied it had any such plans. Meanwhile, Brocher, this is one of the men from the State Department, declined to elaborate what action the United States would envision against Moscow if the deal went through. Well, Russia's denying it, the United States saying they have thorough evidence about this. Well, then on from the World Tribune, it says Syria's Assad still plans to talk missiles in Moscow. And this came out after this about Russia being, denying this. It says Syrian President Bashar Assad will travel here later this month to finalize what would be the biggest Syrian arms deal in 20 years. The United States has warned Russia against the sale, and the trip has also set off a crisis in Israel. President Vladimir Putin has approved the sale of several of the systems requested by Syria. Officials said they include the export of this E-mobile long-range rocket, also called the SS-26 missile, and the SA-18 surface-to-air missiles. Both systems have been developed by KBM Instruments based in Tula. The United States this week warned Russia against selling the missile to Syria, but Russia denied planning such a sale. Well, you see, they sit there, they say, oh, we're not doing this, but then they're doing this. And they're here like India. The Russians said it the best. If they have the money, they should buy our weapons and our planes and our military product that we're offering and we're selling. It's a business. Who's going to tell you not to sell your shoes? Who's going to tell you not to sell your product in a business? Nobody. You think you're going to let somebody come in there and tell you, well, you're not going to do this and this if you're out there in the world selling, let's say, like you're at the lumber yard at Abilene Lumber. Well, you think we're going to go and tell Abilene Lumber you can't sell your lumber no more? They're going to tell us they're crazy and have us arrested. Well, it's the same thing with the military. These countries, they're sitting there challenging. It's like Lowe's against Home Depot here, clashing the two lumber giants here. And then you got the little guy like Abilene Lumber there in the middle who's taking all the heat and the blows from the other two big industries who are trying to crush it, everyone now trying to make a buck. Well, they cut each other's throats with sales and everything else. Well, our prices are better and so forth. Well, understand, that's the same principle here as the nations are building weapons and selling weapons to these other countries. It's a big business adventure. It's a big profit to them. So, of course, the United States is upset that Russia is selling it to them. It's probably because they were the ones who originally wanted to sell them the missiles, and Russia just beat them to the punch. Or they beat it to the punch to India. You see, one sells to India, who hates Pakistan. Well, Pakistan then buys from another superpower to counter India because they're mad because India bought it from this superpower down here. You see how stupid the tit for tat goes back and forth, back and forth. Well, this is just clearly what's obviously going on. That's why Yahweh says even a child can understand of what's taking place and what's going on. But the U.S. also has, it says Iran says it's capable of mass production in Shahab 3 missile. They said they're capable of putting this missile out there. Well, you see, if the United States ends up going to war, which Iran is on our list, they're planning to want to attack Syria in February here, or sometimes in February, possibly early March now. They're looking to go into Syria. And as they start to step up this, I can see the draft starting to come in more. I can start to see a lot of pressure put on us about it. I can see a lot of pressure put on a lot of children of the world. I can see a lot of families going to be split apart and taken. You see the relief effort. They're making such a big scene about this relief effort with the tsunami right now. But on the news here, that lady went to the hospital, the family went to the hospital to go and get their child. Well, when they got there, they said, 3 foreigners came and took your child when they went into the hospital. They're saying that more children right now are getting taken and sold and taken away from their families. Families can't find their children because they're going down there. They're taking these children from a disaster area. A woman was getting helped out of the mud, an 18-year-old girl. The guy helped her out of the mud, raped her in the thorn bushes right there on the spot. it made her dizzy. Then the other people came and they finally helped her, and the guy's the one who got her to help after he raped the woman and threw her in the thorn bushes. And here she was just drowning and got out of the mud. Boy, that's some relief work. And then you got the UN in Congo who are assaulting their workers down there. This is great relief effort that we're sending. And it's sad to say that this country here is the biggest buyer of children and of women. This country here, they're talking about how it's such an epidemic of their smuggling through Mexico. You can get on the internet and read about it. The trafficking. Well, this is part of this war. This is why know where your children are at all times. Study the law. Young men, you need to study this law, and women, because the laws of Yahweh is the only protection that you have to fight against the spiritual wickedness of the devil. Give the devil hell. All right? Make the devil's job hard. The more energy we can get her to use, the sooner Yahweh's kingdom can be here. Remember, according to the energy.